posted this last week with Pam Bondi, who had to come out and finally, because James Comer came on our show and just went score shirts. He's like, they have nothing. They have no Epstein evidence. Nobody held on to any of that Epstein evidence. It's gone. There were shredders in front of the DOJ and FBI. It's all gone, right? And Pam Bondi was asked about that, and she comes out and she says, no, we have tens of thousands of videos. Mike Benz over the top. New messaging by the FBI DOJ. Epstein delay is due to parsing of so many predatorial pornographic videos. This messaging is off. The central question needing no vids at all. A very quick answer. If they want to tell us, why was the prior DOJ told to back off because Epstein belonged to intelligence? You're, of course, referencing Alex Acosta there, and when Epstein was caught dead to rights in underage prostitution activities here in the state of Florida. And please expound, Mike. What's happening with this Epstein saga? I've gotten a chilling response, quite frankly, from people that were gung-ho about releasing everything, and I can't quite put my finger on it. So please expound for us.
Well, I was told by folks at the FBI that there's the FBI is likely not in possession of files relating to Epstein and intelligence. I believe that those would be held either certainly at the Justice Department layer, but then either at the CIA layer as well, or then there's the question of whether or not intelligence meant just domestic, or if it meant just international, or if it meant both. And I believe that the answer to this is both. There's almost no way to look at Jeffrey Epstein's life history and see non-involvement with the Central Intelligence Agency. The fact is when Les Wexner's tax attorney, Arthur Shapiro, was murdered the day before he was set to testify to the IRS while he was the tax accountant for the Wexner financial empire. That's when Jeffrey Epstein linked up with Wexner, and then that was in Columbus, Ohio. And then Jeffrey Epstein, who was partnered with the Saudi Khashoggi network during Iran-Contra, running the arms to the Iran part of Iran-Contra. Jeffrey Epstein then goes and negotiates the transfer of Southern Air Transport, the CI proprietary airline that was used in Miami and in Mena, Arkansas, where Bill Clinton was the governor, from Miami straight to Rickenbacker Air Force Base in Columbus, Ohio. How does one get to negotiate the transfer of a CI proprietary airline? That was a literal CI proprietary airline without being in the business. How did Jeffrey Epstein get a lease directly from the U.S. State Department for the second largest residential building in New York City? In the 1990s, Jeffrey Epstein, as part of the diplomatic showdown with Iran in the 1990s, the U.S. seized this vast presidential semi-palace in New York owned by the government of Iran, and then promptly leased it to none other than Jeffrey Epstein. And then, how does the State Department become your personal landlord after seizing it from another country? And then Jeffrey Epstein got in a kerfuffle with the State Department over this because Jeffrey Epstein deceived the State Department and subleased it out to the defense lawyer for the French Connection and Pizza Connection cases, the famous two cases of CIA drug running through the Italian mafia on the eastern seaboard of the U.S., through pizza shops, and on the banks of the Marseille in France. And so you have this network that goes back a very long time with U.S. intelligence with Epstein. But the fact is there seems to be pretty obvious connections to Israeli intelligence, potentially British intelligence, potentially Saudi intelligence. But all of this could be asked and answered, I think, at the Justice Department layer. At least tell us if it's true or false. If the official story is Alex Acosta lied, because remember, Alex Acosta was the Secretary of Labor. Now, the Department of Labor is the union department in the United States. And I don't think I need to tell the audience, if you've seen enough Godfather movies, about the links between organized labor and organized crime. That is, the unions are the principal means of control for organized crime to be able to run transport lanes, to be able to smuggle things, to be able to control the import and export on docks, to be able to transport them on railways, also to serve as muscle. I can talk at length about all of that. And Alex Acosta was also the dean of the law school of FIU, Florida International University, which is a major hotbed for CIA activity. For example, Juan Guaido, who was the CIA-backed candidate to topple the government of Maduro, was actually announced to be the president of Venezuela, I think despite only receiving something like 7% of the vote. At the State of the Union address, both standing ovation from both sides of the aisle in 2020. What I'm saying is Alex Acosta is a guy who would probably know that, given that he was the dean at FIU, given that he was the secretary of the Department of Labor, and given that he was Jeffrey Epstein's first prosecutor. And if he comes out and says, I was told to back off Epstein because he belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone, I don't think that he would throw that out haphazardly. He was fighting for his political life at the time when he made this statement. He was forced effectively because of this treatment over Epstein to step down as Secretary of Labor in 2019. So I wonder, what is Alex Acosta doing now? What are the Alex Acosta files like at the Justice Department? Now, the Justice Department is above the FBI, so I don't fault Cash or Dan Bongino or these folks. I believe what I'm hearing from various sources, that the FBI may not be in possession of this. I believe that would be at the Justice Department layer. The question is Pam Bondi? I mean, because here's the thing: they can either come out and tell us, listen, Alex Acosta lied. He didn't really belong to intelligence. That was a smokescreen to protect his own political life. There is nothing there. Or they can say, here are the files. Here's what Alex Acosta was referring to. Or we spoke with Alex Acosta as part of our, we put him under oath, and we got him to, in a transcribed interview, to tell us everything that he meant. Who told him that he belonged to intelligence? What was the name of the person or individual, inside or outside the U.S. government, who told Alex Acosta, the prosecutor, that he belonged to intelligence? Who told him to back off? They can tell us that information. They have to say something at this point, is what I'm driving at. You can't just stay mum on this, because that looks the worst. I mean, that looks like you're protecting someone, and that looks like there's something so corrupt inside the Justice Department that it corrupts many of the other attempts to clean up the Justice Department, because no matter how many people you fire, and I think they've done great work. I think Harmeet Dillon's done fantastic work. I think Pam Bondi has done great work in firing a bunch of the 15 of these J6 prosecutors and a number of other actions.
But wouldn't it then be Tulsi Gabbard or John Ratcliffe then who answers for this?
Well, that's a good point. My understanding is the Justice Department is holding on to this.
What's happening here is it's almost like people who were not part of these crimes, right? So it's like Cash didn't cover for Epstein. Pam Bondi's not on the Epstein list. Donald Trump has an immaculate record with Jeffrey Epstein. Put that on trial. Because we have the clips of the lawyers that tried to lock up Epstein in Palm Beach saying Trump's our only friend. He's the only person in this community that testified against Epstein. We have James Patterson on camera being like, listen, I'm the most respected author in America. I physically watched Donald Trump escort Epstein out of his club and kick him out permanently for life, right? Like, Trump has an immaculate record here. What's the point of protecting this operation? Like, it's not these people, and this isn't going to blow back on anyone. Alex Acosta isn't part of the administration anymore. So just like out with it. You know what I mean? Like, it actually strangely does logistical and strategic damage to the Trump administration by not being out with it. Or if the evidence was destroyed, say that, hey, listen, like, seriously, these files are empty and there's criminal like, we're going to have to like go log in and figure out who emptied them, but we got nothing, right? Like, I just don't understand the strategy here. That's what I don't get, right? Like, why protect anyone in this operation?
Well, it's worth, and again, I think just because I've had conversations with folks at FBI, but I haven't at DOJ. My understanding is, the FBI genuinely does not have, at least this is what sources are telling me, does not have files on this, which makes me, look upward to DOJ and CIA. But the fact is look, Pam Bondi was the Attorney General for the state of Florida, and that was exactly where Epstein was tried. That was where, Alex Acosta was the prosecutor in Florida. Jeffrey Epstein was all over Florida. Jeffrey Epstein, as I mentioned, had all those involvements in South Florida and in Miami. And I mentioned the transfer of Southern Air Transport, the CIA airliner, from Florida. So I would think that, Pam Bondi would know a fair amount about this network just through that alone, coming into it. And I don't know, I could see a lot of shrapnel getting on Trump world over this, actually, from strange directions, not on Trump himself, but that could be it. There could be something more benign, but the fact is the longer time goes by, the more they're throwing up things like having to sift through CP files and things like that. That's not what anybody really has been interested about this. I think it's been
never once called for that. Never.
Right. It's been stipulated, that this guy was involved in these things. It's presumably why
we say blur the entire image and just show us Bill Clinton's face. Right. That's you could just give us the list. That's actually what we like. What people would like is some accountability here. And then ultimately, the longer that they hold out, the worse it gets. And the more it looks like this thing goes deeper than we ever thought. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that may be a question for Tulsi, right? Maybe a question for John Ratcliffe, if that's where the actual smoking guns, if that's where the actual evidence.
But it should really be zeroed into that intelligence question, in my view, because at least give us the answer on that, because that gives us the answer to whether he was protected. And I could see this there being a bifurcation. This happened in the run to 9/11, where the CIA was hiding things from the FBI. The FBI was complaining that they didn't have the intelligence they were supposed to be getting from the CIA. I could see it being genuinely true that the FBI does not have information on this, that it was above that layer. But the fact is the Justice Department would be the keeper of that information. And I've just never seen Pam Bondi straight asked, was Alex Acosta being truthful or was he lying? What files have you found? What can you tell us? Can you commit that you will disclose all Justice Department files around the negotiation of the plea deal? I mean, presumably, if the lead prosecutor was told to back off because he belonged to intelligence,
federal prosecutor,
that there's going to be, if not a paper trail, emails, communications. I mean, every email, every text message, and frankly, every person that Alex Acosta was talking to at that time in and around the DOJ and beyond should be part of this inquiry, so that we can know if he was a child sex trafficker, if he was a protected one by U.S. or foreign intelligence.